So we're back in the studio. Welcome back, everyone. My name's Rick Walker. From our laptops to our televisions, from the displays on our smartphones to those on our sat-navs, we are in front of screens all the time. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to disconnect completely? To choose not to have access to the internet? If you have, you may be in need of a digital detox, a total switch off from all things digital. The idea of people taking a digital detox is becoming more and more popular, especially amongst young people. And today, we're joined by someone who's tried a number of digital detox activities and is here to give us some advice about it. Amanda Vince, welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
So, Amanda, you work for a fashion magazine in London, right? I guess your work means you need to be online a lot.
Oh yes. Apart from the hundreds of emails I get every day, I'm always browsing fashion websites as well as online videos. I also need to be very active online, especially on Twitter and Instagram, sharing what we're doing in the magazine, interacting with designers, photographers, influencers. It never stops, literally. Then, of course, there's my friends and family to keep in touch with online too. And for me, my work grew out of my passion. So friends and work colleagues aren't two totally separate groups of people. And it all gets a bit messy online sometimes. I think I'm online for at least 12 hours a day.
So, how did you get the idea for a digital detox?
I read a book about it called Log Off: How to Stay Connected After Disconnecting. The author's name is Blake Snow. That book gave me some really good advice and made me think about trying to change some of my digital habits. I started with removing distraction.
What do you mean by that?
That means turning off alerts, buzzes, alarms or notifications of any kind. I had notifications set up for everything and it meant I was always being forced to look at my phone. Removing all of them except for important contacts helped me focus immediately. The book also made a really good point that we should ask ourselves why every time we take out our phone. I realised that most of the times I looked at my phone were because I was trying to avoid or ignore something else happening right in front of me. It was an automatic habit.
I have to confess, that happens to me too. But what else are you going to do when you're standing in line in the bank or waiting for your train?
Okay, yes, I'm the first to admit that it's great for helping time go by. But speaking personally, I found I wasn't just checking my phone to kill time when I was alone. I was also doing it with friends or family around.
Right. Well, so far this doesn't sound too drastic. Turning off notifications and becoming aware of when we use our devices. That sounds easy.
Yes, it's the first step. Once we begin to realise just how much of a grip our devices have on us, then we're ready to really take the next step. First, my partner and I did a weekend with absolutely no screens. She found it easier than I did. For me, it was a little bit scary at first, but it turned out to be a pretty rewarding experience.
A whole weekend, huh? Well, I don't know if I could...
I think everyone has to do this at their own pace. If a weekend feels too much, maybe just try for an evening. Then work your way up to more. I guarantee once you've tried it, you'll want to try it again. We're going to try for a whole week in the summer.
Okay, let's pause there then and see what our listeners have to say. You can call us here directly or send us a message on any of our social media channels. Oh, should I be saying that? Anyway, more after the break.
In today's lecture, we are going to be talking about experiments, and I thought it might be interesting for you all to learn about the world's oldest continuously running laboratory experiment that is still going today. In fact, it holds the Guinness World Record for being the longest running experiment. This experiment began in 1927 and has been going ever since. It's called the pitch drop experiment, and it was created by Professor Thomas Parnell at the University of Queensland, Australia. Parnell was the university's first physics professor, and he wanted to show in this experiment that everyday materials, such as pitch, can have quite surprising properties. You see, when pitch is at room temperature, it feels solid. You can easily break it with a hammer. However, it isn't in fact solid. At room temperature, pitch is many billions of times more viscous than water, but it's actually fluid. In 1927, Professor Parnell took a sample of pitch. He heated it and poured it into a glass funnel. He allowed the pitch to cool and settle for 3 years. He then turned the funnel upside down and cut the top off it. Since then, the pitch has slowly dropped out of the funnel. How slowly? Well, the first drop took 8 years to fall. It took another 40 years for another 5 drops to fall. Today, it's been almost 90 years since the experiment started. Only 9 drops have fallen from the funnel. The last drop fell in April 2014, and the next one is expected to fall in the 2020s. The experiment has a tragic story associated with it. Professor Parnell died without seeing a pitch drop. His replacement, Professor John Mainstone, became responsible for the pitch drop experiment from 1961. He held the job for 52 years and missed seeing the drop fall 3 times, by a day in 1977, by just 5 minutes in 1988, and finally in 2000, when the webcam that was recording the experiment suffered a power outage for 20 minutes, during which time the pitch dropped. The pitch drop experiment is something we can all participate in now. There's a live web stream that allows anyone to watch the glass funnel and wait for the fateful moment. A similar experiment to the Queensland pitch drop was set up in Dublin, and the video of the moment the pitch actually dropped went viral on the internet. It's interesting to see how a very slow event can spread news so quickly.
So we think we know how to motivate people, right? Offer them a reward, do this and you'll get this. Do this faster, earn more money. Do this better than everyone else, here's a promotion. We offer incentives when we want people to do things. We do it at work, at school, even at home with our kids. Tidy your room and you can watch TV. But when social psychologists test whether incentives work, they get surprising results. Sam Glucksberg from Princeton University, America, set people a problem to solve and told them he was going to time them to see how long they took. Then he put them in 2 groups. He offered one group a reward for finishing fast, $5 for anyone finishing in the top 25%, and $20 for the person who finished the fastest of all. To the other group, he offered no incentive, but he told them he was going to use their times to calculate an average time. The first group, the ones with the reward, solved the problem faster, you'd think, right? Well, no. They actually took 3.5 minutes longer than the group who just thought they were being timed. Incentive didn't work. In fact, it made them slower. This experiment has been repeated with the same results many times. But in business, we still offer bonuses, promotions, and rewards to staff. That's fine if we want them to do something simple like chop wood. We'll pay you more if you chop the wood faster. An incentive works then. But if we want someone to do something complex, something creative, something where they have to think, rewards don't work. They might even have the opposite result and make people perform worse. Another study by Dan Ariely showed that the bigger the reward, the worse the subjects performed on a complex task. The reward made them focus so hard on the result that they couldn't think creatively anymore. And this all matters because more and more simple jobs will become automated. We'll be left with creative, problem-solving jobs that computers will never do. And we need to find a way to motivate people to do those jobs when we've proved the traditional incentives don't work. So what does work? Giving your workers freedom. Freedom to work on the things they want to work on. Freedom to choose when, where, and how they work. Want to work from home 3 days a week? Get up late and work into the night instead? Fine. Just do the job well. And evidence shows people who choose the way they work get results. Companies that give employees time during the week to work on things that interest them and are not part of their regular job achieve amazing things. Some of the big tech companies are good examples of this, with ping-pong tables and areas to relax in.
The first item in the news today is the recent elections that took place across the country. This was a crucial vote which may see a dramatic change in how the country develops over the coming years. Overall, a 54.5% voter turnout was registered. This represents an increase of 11% over the previous election and 6% above the average for the past 50 years. There's also been a slight change in demographics, with an increase in youth turnout in the 18 to 24 and 24 to 29-year-old brackets. Despite this increase, young people are still less likely to vote than older people. 84% of voters in the 70-plus age group came to the polling stations. Moving on. The global digital powerhouse ONK today posted quarterly results, which were above forecast. Back in March, Tim Bolling, CEO, issued a profit warning over fears that there would be losses following the recall of their leading product, the 40D device. In fact, the company posted quarterly revenue of $14.8 billion, which represents an increase of 11% from the same quarter a year ago. They also announced that they had sold 21 million 40D devices over the quarter. The company has provided the information that with this level of revenue, there will be a gross margin of 34 to 35%, ultimately leading to a $1.2 per share cash dividend awarded to shareholders. And in our final news item, we ask, will we soon be saying goodbye to coins and notes forever? The nationwide trend of using cashless payment options is increasing. There are a number of reasons for this development. A key reason for this is a growing interest in reducing the number of items people need to leave their homes with. As almost everyone carries a smartphone with them, and many people also have smartwatches, the ability to pay for things using one of these two technologies is particularly appealing. More and more retailers are accepting cashless payments, and in some cases, they've stopped accepting cash altogether.